Release the dragon. Release the dragon. Release the dragon.
Yo, welcome to the show. I'm your man, Smitty. And today we got a little something to talk about to kick off the show. Look at my boy, Mike Davis, at the top right of your screen. No, that's not Derrick Henry. No, that's not Corey Dillon. Or Corey Dillon. AJ Dillon. Corey Dillon. Who drafted Corey Dillon? Who's with me? I drafted Corey Dillon. Some of you don't even know who Corey Dillon is. Nev's probably never drafted or heard of Corey Dillon. No, that's not AJ Dillon. That's not Derrick Henry. That is Mike Davis. Big Mike is what we're calling him now. As I posted on Instagram, don't overlook Mike Davis this year. The dude looks ripped and ready to destroy all doubters. I'll admit, he's not a spring chicken. Makes him a little, questionable to invest in Dynasty Justin, as you write that comment right now, which he wrote as I said that. Makes it a little hard to buy into a guy that feels like he's on borrowed time. Kind of like, in some way, James Robinson. You know, we're like, I like James Robinson. He's still got a little upside. He can still get 1,100 and 5-6 touchdowns, but he's on borrowed time. I don't like it. Doesn't feel good. Same way Mike Davis kind of tries to make you feel, because he's an old running back. He's 28 years old. Just turned 28. But let me tell you something. Big Mike might have 1 to 2 years left if we're pessimistic, okay? He's going to at least have 1 year. What he does with this 1 year will determine what happens in year 2. It's his tryout. And it's his second tryout, because during his first tryout, Big Mike dropped loads all over the place in spots during 2020. He did tail off. He was kind of like up, and then brr. But the dude brought in, here, let me bring up his game log. Judge for yourself. Here's his stats for the year. And here is Big Mike's game log. We'll look at his game log. Sorry, Justin, I gotta boot you. Okay. Didn't play week 1. Does anybody talk about that? No. They just spit out, 642, 6 TDs, 59 receptions, 373, and 2 TDs. Does anybody talk about the fact that he didn't do anything in week 2? He didn't need to. He didn't play week 2. Does anybody talk about the fact that he really didn't play week 3 all that much? I mean, he got 13 totes of the football. Actually, he got 8 receptions. Rewind. He didn't go to week 3. He actually got 8 passes for 74 week 2. But in week 1, he didn't get used. Let's start over. Welcome to the Fantasy Football Show. I'm your man, Smitty, where Mike Davis is the topic, and he did good in weeks 2 and 3, but did nothing in week 1. But nobody's talking about that. Nobody's talking about that. What's up, whatever, with Wolf? But look at the rushing, though. He didn't rush much at all until he got into like that week 4. And he was spotty week 7, week 9, week 10. But this is a guy that delivered. You know, he was asked to catch 9 passes in week 5. He pulled in 8 passes in week 2, week 3. So 3 games with over 8 receptions. 6 games with over 5 receptions. He knows how to pull in the football. And the one interesting thing about the Atlanta Falcons landing spot is that running back's not going to get fed enough on the ground to be an electric running back 1 or even high-end running back 2. In order to be an Atlanta Falcon running back, you have to be able to live in the PPR categories. And on top of that, because you may not get enough work even then to be a high-end running back 2, especially a running back 1, you have to have a nose for the end zone. You have to be a playmaker. You have to be a guy they lean on, a guy that makes different sense to give the football to in goal line situations and in short yardage situations. And this guy, looking at the size of him, looks like you could put Derrick Henry's number and like do something, you know, put like a little text or something kind of covering his face and be like, oh, look at Derrick Henry warming up in practice today. Dude looks ripped. I know angles look kind of funny sometimes, but the dude's coming to play. And I love it. I love that he's got 1 year under his belt playing football for the Carolina Panthers, filling in at a workload that most running backs would have broken down on. Like, I don't fault him for tailing off. Looking at his yards here, his yardage, and he still had 2 TDs in week 14. He still had a TD in week 16. He had, how many games did he have over 6? He had 1, 2, 3, 4 games over 40 yards receiving. It's an impressive game log for a guy that wasn't used in week 1, wasn't rushing much until week 3, 4. Wasn't used a ton in weeks 9, 10, and 7 on the ground. That's a pretty good stat log. I like him. I like him a lot right now. And I think if you ignore him as a low-end running back too, especially in a creative build where you may attack your wide receivers, your quarterback, maybe you take Kittle, Waller, or Kelsey early, and you're going to have a thin spot, he's a great running back to go attack. If you go 0 running back, this man could be your running back 1 in a true 0 running back approach where you don't take a running back until, depending on how you define 0 running back, some people call 0 running back, you don't take a running back till like round 5, 6, or 7. And if this guy's falling to round, I don't think after this photo he's going to be falling as far, but I'm pretty sure people are still going to be doubting him quite a bit. Hit the thumbs up on your way in the door. Why is there a discrepancy between the number of people in the room and the number of smashes we have with the thumb up icon there? Hit it, punch it. I appreciate it. Wipe your feet. Help the show. Mike Davis is in Atlanta, Mitchell. He's the starting running back for the Atlanta Falcons. Mike Davis should go to the Steelers. No, Mitchell. They have Harris, bro. They just drafted son of a Mitchell.
Take a lap. Take a lap.
Mitchell, it's for your own good, bro. We grow from it. Take your lap, come back, start over. Falcons, Mitchell. And no, not the Steelers. They drafted the number 1 rookie running back in the NFL draft, Mitchell. They
Take a release the dragon.
He's not the same as Devonta Freeman. No, Mitchell. Oh, Mitchell, we got a lot of work to do, bro. Son of a Mitchell. that's what we're gonna use. We're gonna use that now. Son of a Mitchell, bro. He's nothing like Devonta Freeman. Do you see the photo in front of your face, Mitchell? Open your eyes, bro. Does that look like Devonta Freeman or Derrick Henry to you? Devonta Freeman's a little guy. Does that look like Devonta Freeman? What are you talking about, Mitchell? Son of a Mitchell. And they got Mitchell. Where have you been? Did you just wake up, bro? I love Mitchell's what would you call it? Resilience. Like, he's even making fun of himself, like, before I even can. He's taking away my ammunition. Mitchell, I can still find a way. But Mitchell, I love that you're here. Mitchell's becoming a staple already, son of a Mitchell. And Mitchell, if you're a Steelers fan, you drafted Najee Harris, the number 1 running back. All right, Mitchell's having fun. This is the most fun Mitchell's had in a while. He likes it. Okay, so what do I think out of let me predict a stat line. Here's last year's stats, okay? We're going to blow this out of the water here. I believe that Mr. Big Mike Davis, thank you for hitting the thumbs up, is going to rush for, again, Atlanta. Curb expectations. This is a morph between a receiving back and a running back. So he's going to definitely have, Grid says you got to protect Joe Burrow. Exactly. I'm glad we're on the same page. I'm going to say 850 on the ground. I'm going to say 6 to 7 touchdowns on the ground. Let's keep his touchdowns the same. Let's say 6. So 850 on the ground running. 6 TDs on the ground. 60 to 65 receptions for about 450 and 2. That'll give us 8 total touchdowns. That'll give us 850, right around 1,200 to 1,300 total yards, 8 touchdowns, 60 something receptions. We'll call it 60. That is a darn good year. He won't probably rush for 1,000 yards. He probably won't hit 900. This is a special system that probably won't. It's got a lot of mouths to feed, and they're going to throw the ball a ton. And they suck. Okay? I kind of regret giving them as many wins as I did in my prediction for wins and losses, my standings predictions. But, you know, they definitely feel with the extra game. Before adding the extra game, they felt like an 8-9 win team. They have the talent. They have the talent to win that many games. So with the extra game, I gave them a win. But 9 to 10 wins will be a lot for the Atlanta Falcons. But they're going to be throwing a ton in the third and fourth quarter. That's good, though, for a guy like Mike Davis. Another running back wouldn't survive because this guy knows how to catch the football. This guy filled in for Christian McCaffrey. This is like the bet, like kind of like Trask is learning behind Tom Brady. Like this guy learned behind Christian McCaffrey, and he filled in for Christian McCaffrey. He was handed Christian McCaffrey's role. That's like getting the Captain America shield for a day. The dude got to wear the suit and go out there for a whole year and play Captain America. Now he gets to go over, he beefed up or whatever. I don't even know if we knew he was this big. He's wearing baggy pads, man. We didn't know he was this ripped. He comes out ripped. I'm believing what I see. I'm believing a guy that I think can tote the rock to the tune. He had a 3.9 yards per carry average in Carolina. Give him 4.5 with that added muscle. Give him 850. Give him 8 total touchdowns, 55, 60 receptions, and 400-ish receiving yards. Smitty, that's 245 points. Low end running back 1. That's what I'm saying, Nick. It's possible. And it's only possible. Oh, yeah, now Mitchell's coming around. Mitchell's like Mike Davis is a great fit for the Atlanta, though. Son of a Mitchell. Why'd we take him? He's just... Hey, Smitty. Why did we take this guy, what's his name, Mike Davis, when he's just another Devonta Freeman? He's a good fit. I love it. Mitchell, you can stay. Pitch your tent, young man. Pitch your tent.
Release the dragon.
Mitchell. On a treadmill right now. Yeah, run your lap, Mitchell. Keep running, bro. I love it. Halfway done with your lap. Oh, Mitchell. He's a great fit, though. Oh. Okay. Where are we at? Good old Mitch. Good old Mitch. Mitchy boy. Attaboy, Mitch. All right, next piece of news. He's just like Devonta Freeman. Why? The Steelers should have taken him. The Steelers need another Devonta Freeman. Mitch. Oh, Mitchy boy. Mitchy boy. Run on your treadmill, Mitchy boy. Okay. Myles Gaskin, baby. Look at Terry with the... Terry, look, me and Terry are sporting the same shirt. Take a lap. Take a lap. Terry's got a red one. I've got a gray one. Thank you, Terry. I appreciate that super chat. Let's put Terry up in the corner. Let's celebrate Terry for a little bit up there in the corner. Myles Gaskin said the team's offensive playbook is much different than last year. This isn't necessarily a good thing, people. I'm going to give you 2 warning shots today to kind of marinate on, okay? One is be a little careful. I like the defense that Miami's got going on. I like the weapons they have in this offense, but be a little careful counting on the offensive fantasy football components of this team early on. I think Myles Gaskin could be good. I fear Myles Gaskin is going to get hurt. I'm not saying he's a bust. I'm not saying he's in a void. I'm saying be careful where you draft him. And I would say be careful where, I don't know, where you count on him. I just think there's a lot of opportunity for him to get hurt and disappoint at his current ADP. But if he falls to the right place, I like him. It all depends on where you're grabbing him. So Myles Gaskin said the playbook is quite different. So everybody's going to be learning new stuff. A lot of moving parts can create problems or slow starts. So I'm not saying things won't get ironed out and start firing on all cylinders heading into the middle part of the season. But sometimes a lot of change can be bad. Tua, I worry a lot about. You've got a new wide receiver that's going to try and mingle into this offense. And, frankly, I think they should have drafted a running back. Frankly, they should have drafted. I like Miami. Miami's got a bright future. But I think you could have changed this team right away and created a monster, a golem of a team if you would have drafted one of the quarterbacks. I know it's not popular, but it's how I feel. And you can't take that away from me. Mitchell, draft a quarterback, draft one of the top 3 running backs. They had 2 picks to do it. They could have got it done, and I think that would have changed this offense enough. The defense is already fire. They got other great pieces in the draft. I really think Miami would have been a different football team in a good way had they have gone in a different direction with the running situation and their quarterback. Those are the 2 things that they needed, I think, most to get to the next level, and they didn't do it. They didn't take either one. So I don't know. But I think this is a little worrisome to me because I'm already worried about Gaskin a little bit. Yeah, Javonte Williams would have been fantastic in Miami. With or without Tua, yes, Dominic. All right, next piece of news. Courtland Sutton, another... so I told you I was going to give you 2 things to worry about. That's 1. Number 2, I will reveal later. This I'm worried about, but I wanted to not have you confused in thinking this was the other part, the takeaway. The other takeaway is a player that I'm going to stay away from in 2021. I'm going to write him on this board here. And I'm going to put a red X through his name. And then I'm going to reveal it in a minute. My do not draft player. Let's put a countdown on it. My do not draft player I reveal at the top of the hour. So that would be in 38 minutes. And let me put right here. Do not draft player reveal. There you go, broskies. Do not draft player reveal in 37 minutes. Courtland Sutton, I'm going to be a little worried about as well. This is not that player. But Sutton is recovering from a torn ACL. Courtland Sutton said the game plan is to be ready for training camp. Look, Burrow's recovering from a torn ACL. I get it. Seems a little biased of you, Smitty, to be not so worried about Joe Burrow, especially protecting Joe Burrow by drafting Jamar Chase. You moron. But you're worried about Courtland Sutton. Wide receivers are different. Running back is even more concerning. Barkley's concerning, but Barkley tore his ACL a while ago. He's a different special human being with different quad muscles and surrounding knee muscles that wrap that knee so tightly that I believe he's going to have an Adrian Peterson-like bounce back from a torn ACL in 2021. I feel differently about Barkley. I'm explaining it so you don't think, oh, he just doesn't see things the same as me. Courtland Sutton, torn ACL, already on track to play second fiddle to Jerry Jeudy, who is the number 1 wide receiver in Denver. Make no mistake about it. And, I worry a little bit about surviving here as a wide receiver 1 until the future quarterback, who I believe probably he's either hiding on the roster like Tannehill was, and I don't see one. I don't see a player that looks like that. Or they haven't acquired or drafted this player yet, the future quarterback that will make Jerry Jeudy a top 10 sustainable fantasy football asset for a decade. For a decade plus. That's what is going to eventually happen with Jerry Jeudy. That leaves only so much room for Sutton to do well. He'll be the Amari Cooper to CeeDee Lamb. He'll be the T. Higgins to Jamar Chase. Still could be good if the passing attack is good enough. It can feed both, but Sutton will be the one that suffers if there isn't enough to go around, and he will do well and play well if there is enough to go around. As it stands right now, with the quarterback room at hand in Denver, I don't think there's enough to go around. You mix in the ACL recovery, you mix in the fact that he's not exactly ahead of schedule. He could get there in time, but will he be 100% confident in the knee? Part of the ACL, the torn ACL, is when you tear that ACL in your knee, this is the ACL, keeps the knee joint tight. Here's the top of the knee. Here's the bottom of the knee. Your foot is down where my elbow is. Okay? So when you step and you do different things, you twist, that ACL keeps it real tight, so the meniscus padding that's in between, like this, the meniscus padding isn't worn down, and it's used sufficiently. So you start twisting, it's all tight. It's a tight fit. You snap your ACL, and now you have this knee that kind of goes like this, and it grinds down the meniscus. That's why if you don't get an ACL repair over time, even though you could technically go out and do stuff, you could put a brace on, you could strengthen your quads. To a guy like Barkley, over time, there'd be micro movements in Barkley's knee, even though he's so strong. He could essentially play without it if you just magically took it out without any damage, which typically doesn't happen. When you tear your ACL, you damage all kinds of things. You got to recover. But if you were to magically take out his ACL, he could probably function pretty good. You wouldn't notice too much. But over time, even he would have grinding on that meniscus, micro movements, because it doesn't have the ACL to pull it tight. When you tear your ACL, where's my ACL? When you tear your ACL, you cut out, most NFL athletes do this too, in your knee, here's your knee, you have your patellar tendon over your kneecap. That goes down to your shin area and goes into your leg, and it goes up and attaches, the patellar tendon attaches to the thigh, okay? So they cut out a window in your patellar tendon like that. They cut out a window, take that piece and drill it into your knee with screws, and then it takes time to heal. In those screws are holes, and the bone grows in them, kind of like this microphone. Has little holes in the screw. Bone grows in it, the whole screw gets solidified in there, and the screw doesn't move. The ACL doesn't move. The ACL is in there very tightly. It takes time. If you do things too quickly, you'll pull it out like that. It's like getting a tooth implant. You got to let it heal before you start biting down on a gobstopper. Okay? So if this heals and it's not going to pull out because you let the bone grow around it, you let it get stronger, you get atrophy all over the knee. So then your knee's kind of like, your thigh. Your thigh and your calf, all your muscles get a little bit softer because you haven't been doing the same kind of cutting, because you can't, or you'll pull the ACL right out. You'll pull the new ACL right out. It takes a whole lot of work to get your muscles back to form. The reason Barkley's going to be so okay is it's like he started out ahead of time, way ahead of everybody else, of getting the muscle there. So when atrophy happens for him, he's still got so much muscle there. And he could probably take off half a year without doing a thing. And I bet you his atrophy, as long as he's moving around, isn't as great as you would think. On a normal person, your leg could get really thin. His probably, it was like he was like a bear hibernating with muscle, waiting for this to happen. And he can do this better than other people. Your mind also has to reestablish a connection. With an ACL right here torn, and you put in this new ACL that you got from your patellar tendon and you're making cuts, your brain sends a signal to your leg to say cut left, okay? And you say it, and there's a little delay, and your leg doesn't go left yet, and then it goes left. You have to like go through the wiring process of your body talking to your leg, trusting it. But you know what Barkley has? Trust in his leg, because he's already got a tight feeling leg. When you tear your ACL, it doesn't feel tight. It feels wobbly. You don't trust it. You feel like it's going to go like this at any moment and buckle, like off of the knee and fall like that, fall down, like as if your knee's severed in half. It feels like you cut your knee right in half. And so a lot of players, when they cut, they feel like it's going to go like that and just slide right off. That's when you say, do you trust your leg yet? Barkley's going to trust his leg and knee more than most people, because it's going to feel tighter, because it is tighter. He's going to be able to, because he's such an amazing athlete, probably rewire things a little faster. I'm not saying Courtland Sutton doesn't have muscle. I'm not saying Courtland Sutton can't rewire, faster than the average player. But when you hear things like game plan is to get back in time for camp, I think things will be okay. It worries me, especially when I'm already worried, just like I was about Myles Gaskin. You hear that the offense is changing a lot of things, and I'm already worried about Myles Gaskin staying healthy. Doesn't make me feel great. So 2 red flags emerge out of that news. Red flag was already there, planted in place. Not sure how I felt. I'm waving it around. I got 1 red flag on Myles Gaskin, and now I have another one. So multiple red flags start telling me to stay away unless the ADP drops to a real safe place that accounts for both red flags. Courtland Sutton already worried about his workload, his target share being hogged up by a vacuum cleaner known as Jerry Jeudy, who arguably is the best to second or third best route runner in the entire league at the wide receiver position. Jerry Jeudy. There are defensive backs currently in the NFL that have seen this man play 1 year of football. And when people say, who's your number 1 route runner? And who's the toughest wide receiver to guard? And when multiple D-backs say Jerry Jeudy, coming off of his quiet rookie year, overshadowed rookie year by Justin freaking Jefferson dropping 1,400 and 7 TDs, and somebody tells you, hey, best route runner in the league is Jerry Jeudy, you better start paying attention. That better be a green flag to you. So, already worried about target share. No quarterback that I love, especially a quarterback able to feed multiple wide receivers elite production. And then now he's coming along, maybe not as fast as we would hope. Stay away. Stay away unless the value is just amazing, is my advice on that one. Davis Mills will spend very little time on this one. The Athletic is reporting that the Texans' rookie quarterback, Davis Mills, should play at some point in 2021. Great spec piece. Should play. Great. Probably correct. I mean, if Deshaun Watson is not going to play 2021, which does not look promising. We don't have a whole lot of updates on that, but there are 22 cases that need to be all resolved individually. And if there is going to be some sort of agreement made and settlement, it has to happen with 20 individual cases. And that's a tall order. And even then, the NFL is probably still going to slap him with at least a half a game, in my opinion, suspension for putting the NFL in this situation that he admittedly put them in. It's not like he's denying everything. He's only denying the consensual piece of it. And the NFL is going to be like, no, sir. So if you think he resolves all this and settles with 20 cases and can get back to camp quickly, let's say that happened, a miracle happened, and the criminal part would fall apart, because if there's no civil claims anymore, if all the civil claims get resolved, then the criminal piece has no legs at all, because the criminal piece is based on the civil claims. So that's why the criminal investigations at a halt, waiting to see what happens on the civil side, because it's going to be based on that. So if the civil stuff doesn't move forward to settle and it goes to court, the criminal side will probably pick back up, and then that's when Watson will be placed on the commissioner exempt list. Because right now there's a lot of eyeballs on the NFL about this, and the NFL's kind of played like, we're on our way to do something, just keep waiting. And they're like, crap, I hope something guides us. I hope we're guided in some way, shape, or form, so we can either put them on the commissioner exempt list, not put them on. We're going to lose sponsors pretty soon, or advertisers if we don't do anything. That's my speculation. And if they find out that everything's moving forward to court on the civil side, about 90 to 95%, if I remember correctly, from Tony the Tiger, Tony the attorney, I think he said 90 or 95% of all cases in civil settle at some point. But I don't know if we've seen something in this spotlight, this many individual cases. It seems pretty unusual. We'll see what happens. Joe Burrow, Adam Schefter, who I have to say I'm very disappointed in for the way he handled the Aaron Rodgers announcement news. And again, Terry, special thanks to you, my man. Appreciate you, Terry. This is what you like to hear, okay? Cortland Sutton, let's put Cortland Sutton back up. This is what you don't like to hear. Speaking Monday, Cortland Sutton said, game plan. The game plan is to be ready for training camp. And then you hear this, which again, Schefter. Maybe Schefter's just feeling this. It's not even factual, Shefty. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports Bengals QB Joe Burrow is all systems go for week 1, which is a little different than we heard a couple weeks ago, that the plan is he'll be on schedule. He could be all systems go for week 1 a month from now. So just know that. But this isn't what you want to see. This is exactly what you want to see. One of them is also a quarterback. The other one's also a wide receiver. Harder for a wide receiver to come back full go his first year. Even if Cortland Sutton's all systems go, for those of you liking Sutton more than liking Judy, you're out of your mind. Normally I don't take an absolute stance, but this is a guy coming off a torn ACL. He's going to have reluctance using the knee because of the position he plays. He will not be ready to rumble coming off of the torn ACL because he doesn't fit the unusual set of circumstances like Saquon Barkley. You know, he doesn't have that kind of frame, that kind of muscle structure. He's going to be a little resistant. He's going to be a little bit cautious and hesitant, and he's going to take some time. There's no way he out-delivers unless Judy gets hurt. He can't out-deliver Judy. Judy's on his way up anyway. Even if Sutton didn't get hurt, Jerry Judy would be a top 10 wide receiver if he was handed anything a little bit better at the quarterback position. Joe Burrow is getting his college football wide receiver onto roster in Jamar Chase. These guys are going to play catching the football, These guys are going to play catch in the backyard on football Sunday. You know, just like old times. It's going to be, hey, Jamar, go deep and I'll throw it up. You manhandle a few people, go up and get it, come down with it, and if you can, take it to the house. That's literally what the play call is going to be. It's going to be like blue 47. Blue 47. Hut. Drop back, toss it up. Here's Chase. This is how Chase plays football too. Shove you. I'm going to Derrick Henry you. I'm all by myself. Jump ball. See you. I'll be in the end zone. See you at the party. That's how this man plays football. He doesn't DK Metcalf the jump ball, where DK Metcalf goes up, manhandles everybody around him, grabs the football like that Julio Jones touchdown that you see over and over and over. Just literally grabs the football with all these people around him, just manhandling, all of you. And then he takes it, another 15 yards or dragging people. No, Jamar Chase does it differently. He takes care of it on his way over to get the football, just smacking people away like flies, and then jump balls the football by himself. I've never seen a highlight reel where a guy wins every jump ball and the people that he's jump balling with didn't even get to jump ball with him. Dude's electric. Dude's elite. Do you think Chase is a wide receiver 2 in fantasy for a rookie redraft wise? I'm going to say he eventually gets there in his rookie year. I think he does get to the wide receiver 2 level. It's hard to expect. I'm going to say he could get to the low end wide receiver 1, but he'll get to the wide receiver 2 level. It's hard to expect Justin Jefferson production from a rookie wide receiver. But I think what he does is he produces similar stats, just balanced differently, like I've said. Instead of 1,400 yards for Justin Jefferson, I don't think Chase can do that. He'll have 1,100 or 1,200, 1,100 maybe. And instead of 7 TDs, he might have 11. So they'll offset the categories a little bit. But in the end, you're going to have a very similar output fantasy-wise, total points, between what Jefferson did last year and what Chase will do this year. And that's low end, that's wide receiver 1 numbers, but definitely don't count on that. Expect wide receiver 3 breaching wide receiver 2 numbers and be damn happy if it happens. But back to Joe Burrow. All systems go. He's a QB 5 to 7 overall for me in redraft. I have a little bet with Coach Hugh Jackson, Joe Burrow versus Baker, and the loser's got to do something on their stories regarding, the winner. So Joe Burrow versus Baker, fantasy football points. We know that Hugh's going to pull some trick on us at the end and be like, "Well, I was through week 15." I don't know. No, Hugh's a good guy. Hugh will even post the same, even if he wins the bet, he'll do the same thing on the stories. I know Hugh's such a good dude. But I'm going to win that bet. Hugh Jackson's not going to beat me in this. Burrow will outperform Baker touchdown, sometimes touchdown maker. It's going to be Joe Burrow for the win. Burrow for the win. All right, what are we at next? Last piece of news. Oh, that's it. That's all she wrote. Let me refresh some news wires and my own stuff and see if there's anything out there at all that needs to be talked about. Looks pretty dead out there other than those topics, so I think we are done with the news section of the show. The reveal of the player not to go near in 2021 is going to reveal at 18 minutes and 30 seconds. So you better be ready. Hit the thumbs up on your way in the door. In 18 minutes and 24 seconds, we will reveal the player not to go near in 2021. What's up, Hascom? Thoughts on Carson Wentz with the Colts? It's a good move for the Colts, but there's going to be a lot of change in Indianapolis as well, and that means that there could be some bumps in the road. Look, Tom Brady struggled to get things fully, full go, rapport built, smooth. It took a while for Tom Brady to do that. And I know we had COVID and everything, but we've got some changes here too. We have 2 preseason games. We've got an extra game. We've got, everybody trying to get adjusted back to regular protocols. There probably are still some limitations, not everywhere. Every facet of every process that they have is definitely not hampered anymore. But there's still some changes and different things going on. I don't know that I feel like Wentz is going to just come out and just be insanely amazing. He'll take a little time. The key for him is staying healthy. If he doesn't stay healthy, what the hell good is having Carson Wentz in Indy if he can't stay on the field? But I like Carson. I think Carson's a pretty good fit for that team. Carson kind of gets a bad rap, but then again, you kind of understand it because he can't stay healthy. He'll prove that. If he can prove he can stay healthy, then we're all good, Carson. But, I mean, from a fantasy perspective, it's all about just keeping Jonathan Taylor not seeing 8-man fronts and being able to see different defensive schemes, not the same defensive scheme over and over. Stack the box, stop Jonathan Taylor. So for me, Wentz isn't a startable guy for me. Wentz isn't going to necessarily deliver electric fantasy football production. Maybe he makes Michael Pittman what we hope Michael Pittman could be, because he's the wide receiver I do like a lot on that roster. Maybe Mo Ali Cox does pretty well at the tight end position. If you need a deep sleeper tight end, I don't mind Mo Ali Cox at all. Dude's pretty good. And they just signed him to an extension, I believe. I like him. But the only big time guy I'm counting on, obviously, is Jonathan Taylor. So Jonathan Taylor is the dude to keep an eye on, and you're keeping an eye on Wentz mainly for that reason. And I think Wentz can, as long as he stays healthy, will help Taylor out. Taylor last year, let's pull up Taylor's game log and take a look at Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor. Taylor had, let's pull his game log up and plop it right down on the screen here. Good old Johnny boy. Who's got a stat prediction for Jonathan Taylor? Drop it in the chat, and I'll throw it on screen. All right, here we go. It takes me a second to screenshot. All right, I'm going to get rid of this stuff. You know the drill. The drill is believe in Mike Davis. Okay, so this is Johnny Boy Taylor. Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor in week 1 did okay. 6 receptions, 67 yards, 22 rushing yards. 101 rushing yards in week 2. Looking pretty good. Got a touchdown. 59. 1 TD in week 3. And then he kind of had this like period where he vanished in like weeks 8. So coming off the bye week 8. Week 9, week 10, you're ready to give up on him, but it was a short period of time. I guess you could include week 6 too. 12 carries, 60 yards. You weren't happy with that. You got the 4 receptions for 55 yards though in week 6, but you're worried about him. A little bit. Goes into the bye week, comes off having 3 straight horrible games, minus the touchdown. Everybody jumped ship. They're like, this guy's not the real deal. He's not the real deal. But then look at the rest of the season. 90 yards in week 11. 4 for 24. Then a receiving TD in week 13. 13 totes for 91 yards, 7 yards a pop. 20 carries for 150 and 2. That was the game where people are like, dude's back. And then when he had his 83 and 74 yards with the multiple touchdowns there, 3 TDs in those 2 games, week 15, 16, people are like, okay, we've got it. This guy's really, he's going to pick it up. 30 carries in week 17. Now, granted, we didn't play week 17. We will this year, but you didn't get to take advantage of that 2 TDs, 253, but it definitely left an impression with you. So coming out of week 17, you're like, damn, this guy's back. He's top, like Voice says, he'll be top 3. People are excited about him. I'm loving JT. I think it depends on where you grab him. I don't think anybody's taking him in that risky of a place, because by default, you're going to have Kamara. You're going to have Dalvin Cook. You're going to have, obviously, Christian McCaffrey. And it's looking like and trending like Barkley is the most likely 4th or 3rd running back taken. And so really we're looking at 5 to 6 being the earliest he'll probably get taken on average. And that makes him pretty safe, because he feels like a top 5 to 8 running back lock if he's on the field and healthy, especially with Carson Wentz there. Even if they're trying to figure out the passing game a little bit, they can lean on the run. And even though there'll be some bumps in the road for Carson Wentz in the passing attack, that doesn't mean that they won't be efficient on the ground. They've got a good offensive line. They're going to lean on Taylor, and lean on Taylor enough that, that helps Wentz come along slowly. So, and no, I'm not worried about Mac. I don't know why people mention Mac. Everybody needs a backup running back in the NFL. Everybody. I'd rather it be Mac, who can't stay healthy and got hurt, than them draft a rookie running back that I'm worried about. You know what I mean? Everybody needs a backup running back. Everybody. So stop freaking out about Mac. Stop bringing up players like Jamal Williams for other teams, and stop bringing up players that are backup running backs that you're worried about. Like Drake and Jacobs, that's something to worry about. ETN and James Robinson, that's a conversation. But Marlon Mack, someone's worried about Marlon Mack? Take a lap.
Take a lap. Take a lap.
Okay. I don't know who said that. I didn't see it, who said it. I didn't read who said it, so you can pretend you didn't, and I won't know it. And you're entitled to your opinion. So whoever believes Mac will impede on the rise of Jonathan Taylor, you're entitled to that opinion. I could be wrong. And I'll take a lap. If I'm wrong, I will take a lap. So we got some predictions from some people. Fred is giving us this prediction and stat line. Dominic's going to give us this prediction and stat line. I saw a couple others up here. Kenny's got one. These are what you all think about. If I missed one, drop another one right now. Matt says he will rush for 1,300 yards. Very, very attainable. Dominic says 1,200 to 1,350, 450 to 600 receiving, 18 to 22 TDs. That is a lot of touchdowns, my man. Anything's possible, though, Dominic. But I would say, in my opinion, 10 to 14, 10 to 15 would be where I would max him out at. But definitely feeling double digit. Like 12 feels right. 12 at least feels right, I think. Fred says 1,275, 9 rushing touchdowns, 35 receptions, 302 receiving TDs, giving him 11 total TDs and 13, 14, 15, 1,600 total yards roughly. I think he has over 10 TDs on the ground. Feels pretty safe to me. Taylor runs for 1,450, 9 on the ground, 500. I like that. I think a lot more yardage in the air like that. 400, 500. It seems right. And another 3 TDs. That gives him 12 total scores and almost 2,000 total yards. Are you out of your mind, Kenny? No, you're not. You're not, Kenny. Don't listen to the doubters. I like it. Sports says 1,300 and 500. Nice. Desmond said Jonathan Taylor is my 4th running back keeper. Thank you. Nice job, Desmond. Way to rub it in our face. Return of the Mac. I'll show you. This is what I think of that, Master Yoda.
Release the dragon.
Release it, bro. All right, 8 minutes and 24 seconds before the reveal. Who is the number 1 avoid for me heading into 2021? Who is it? I know some of you are going to think it's this guy or that guy. You may know it, you may not. You may think you know it. Voice of Reason says this is what Senior Taylor is going to have. 1,412 TDs, 42 catches, 3 TDs. He's giving him 15 total scores. I like it. Better keeper, Jonathan Taylor in the 4th round or JK or Gibson in the 6th. Jonathan Taylor, my man, and let me tell you why. I love Gibson. I love JK, and those are all great keepers. But in the end, and you can trade those too. Like hopefully you can trade one of those to get to move up a pick in the vet draft. But once you get a certain amount of value, like 4th round value out of Taylor, you could say like Gibson, and it could be double the keeper round value. I suppose if it gradually increases, like so if JK in the 6th or Gibson in the 6th round moves to a 4th round next year, and Taylor goes from a 4th rounder to the 2nd round next year, then there is something to consider. Like Gibson then might have maybe, something to look at there, and that could change it for me. But if it's like always going to be that round, or it's only 1 year you get to do it, you could double the amount of keeper value on a player. But if you're talking about a top 5 guy you're keeping as your 4th drafted player, that's enough. I don't know that you can twist the other part up enough to even change my mind. You know what I mean? Like I've had people say, but I got this guy in the 12th round. But I don't care, because Taylor in the 4th is valuable enough. That's crazy value. That's crazy value. I like Gibson in 6, but I like Taylor enough in the 4th. Taylor's my answer, unless there's some complicated piece to it like I explained. Should be Dobbins won't run 4,000 yards, won't get 10 TDs. Dobbins worries me a little bit because he just does. He just does. Okay, we're almost ready for Fantasy Football Court. Get your fantasy football questions in order. Get them in-house. Get them prepared. Get them ready. Because we're going to be starting Fantasy Football Court here shortly. And I will be ruling upon all of your bad mistakes, good decisions, and we're doing it live. JT prediction, 11 TDs, 38 receiving yards, 242. All right, we're 5 minutes and 22 seconds away from the big reveal. No one told me. Do not draft player reveal. And let's see if we got any messages. Let's see if we got any messages from the people. Tell you what, go to my Instagram. My handle is the Fantasy Football Show. Go on Instagram to the Fantasy Football Show. Leave me a voice message by holding down the microphone, and I will play it on air right now. Go ask me a question in an Instagram DM, and I will play it on air. Okay, just traded JT for Eckler. This will be the first Fantasy Football Court question. We'll tuck that away right here. Justin Jefferson going off this year. Absolutely, bro. No doubt about it in my mind. First timer, Deontay, give it to me straight. Bro, I'm going to put you in the queue. All right, let's reveal it. Here we go. The do not draft player for 2021 might upset a lot of you. This might make some of you angry. And you can tell me how you feel. But we have a lot of things going against this young man. Okay? We have, number one, the Lions never producing running backs. They never deliver on this. We'll just put Lions. The Lions are red flag number one. Red flag number one. Red flag number two. The offense. Whenever you dismantle the offense, you take away your starting quarterback, you take away your number one wide receiver. Yes, you add an offensive line piece, but you're bringing in a new quarterback. You're going to have no continuity. Look at Tom Brady struggling at the beginning part of the year. Swift has too many red flags. This red flag alone is worth really worrying about Swift's ADP when it floats around that second to third round range. He was going number 12 overall before the dismantling of this franchise, before they sent Stafford packing, before they let Galladay slip through their fingers. This guy is a horrible bet at his current ADP, which is anywhere in the late second to third round range. Yes, not a running back since Barry Sanders has had success for the Detroit Lions. Guess who was supposed to be amazing Kerryon Johnson. Kerryon Johnson was supposed to be better than Swift. If you guys remember, he was actually a first-round pick the year heading into his complete fall-off. People were so high on Kerryon Johnson. They were higher on Kerryon than they were Swift in general in fantasy football circles. Lions don't produce running backs. Could they break that trend? Absolutely. Will they eventually break that trend? For sure. But you're telling me the year they break... Like, think logically, guys. Use common sense here. Think logically. Is this really the year that they buck the trend? When they dismantle their entire offense? They get rid of their better quarterback? They lose a top 10 wide receiver? Some would argue 6 to 10 wide receiver? We'll see how good Kenny Golladay is in his new home. Because Kenny Golladay was on his way to the top 6 to 10 for fantasy football wide receivers. He was. And everyone forgets how good he was, or how good he was supposed to be. You lose a top 6 to 10 wide receiver. You lose your quarterback. Your tight end, who was the player that you were going to rely on to stretch the field in Hawkinson, now has to get and build rapport with his new Goff quarterback, who, yes, played okay in a Rams uniform, but you're asking the guy to come in with no rapport and deliver the same mediocre numbers. Goff's not going to be able to deliver that. This offense is going to blow. They might win 1 to 2 games in 2021. You can't even read that. Lions might win 1 to 2 games in 2021. The chains. How are you going to move the chains? Number 3. First downs. When you don't move the chains, you don't get in scoring position. When you don't get in scoring position, you're doing 3 and outs. When you do 3 and outs, you're not going to have good fantasy production or consistency, because you will not only be phased out of games. Yes, he can catch the football, but you're relying on this man catching the football every single week in order to survive and get your value back. Go after a safer player. Why on God's green earth would you draft Swift over Justin Jefferson or CeeDee Lamb? Guys that can be, Jefferson or Lamb could be top 5 at their position. This man is going to be hard pressed to be top 15 at his position. I don't even target Hawkinson, Ian, because, I mean, if he fell to the right spot, but the guy's going to have to build his rapport with his new quarterback. It's not the same situation whatsoever. Houston could be worse. Houston, who's better? You can't read that. The glare. Who's better? Houston or Detroit? Is it equal? Are they going to combine for 4 wins? Stay away in 2021. Now it is time for the wonderful game that we call Fantasy Football Court. All right, here we go. Fantasy Football Court is in session. Ask your questions. I will answer them. Oh, God, I got rid of them all. Post them back. If I got rid of your question, I'm sorry. Okay, first question. Smitty, tell us where you would take Najee. What are the chances of him falling in the top 10 rather than outside the top 15? I would take him at 18 overall to 24 in redraft, and I'd take him in the top 8 to 14 overall in Dynasty. I don't feel like those are reaches. I feel like he can earn that. That's very safe. Case dismissed. Next question. We don't like long questions, bro. We're going to try it. I have the 8th overall pick, and the guy with the 7th overall pick said he will take Aaron Jones. Well, who tells you who they're going to take? Come on, sports. Don't fall for that one, bro. Like, do you tell... answer me honestly. Do you tell people who you're going to take? Why would you do that? Don't believe a word he says. He's going to take Aaron Jones and let me have Zeke, and let you have Zeke, huh? I'm going to take Jones. I'm going to go ahead and give you Zeke. Bro, that's not how the world works. Come on, son. Let me have Zeke as long as I stay off Ayuk. Should I take it? This is weird, bro. Why draft like this? No, I don't play this game, bro. Who cares? Why do you want Zeke anyway? He's not doing you any favors. Like Zeke's okay, but if he takes, let him take Zeke. Call his bluff. Say, take Zeke, biatch. Take him. Take him. I dare you. I dare you take him, because I'll take Pollard, you son of a Mitchell. I'll take Pollard. Then what are you going to do? In fact, I'd rather you not take Zeke. Go take Pollard from him. Take Ayuk from him. And then draft, Devontae Adams or JT. Not that he's probably going to fall there. Draft, go wide receiver running back. Like, what is this? No, sports. No. Don't be tying yourself to a deal that makes no benefit to you. Him staying away from Zeke, I got news for you. He doesn't even want Zeke. That's why he's doing the deal. He doesn't care about Zeke. He wants Aaron Jones anyway. Let him take Aaron Jones. Take Pollard. Get out of my courtroom. Come back with something else. You're my boy, sports. You're my boy. All right. Come back with another question, sports. The court will be kinder next time. Terry, Patty in the first round? No, Terry, no. See that shirt you're wearing? Take a lap, Terry. You don't take Mahomes in the first round. I guess it depends on how your league is. First of all, if it's a 2 QB league, which you didn't say, but if it was, then of course, he's the number 1, number 2, number 3 overall pick. But, Terry, if it's a 1 QB league, his ADP is in the 18 to 24 range most of the time. So he's not the best player available, though, in the first round because of the fact that the running back or the quarterback position is not scarce. So there's a certain point where he becomes the best player available, and I believe that place to be earlier than most people believe it to be, but that's in the 15 to 20 range. You're taking him way early if you take him at 15 to 20. So why are you going to take him in the first round? Go get yourself a better player in the first round compared to the other players that you're going to get in the second or third. I'm going to give you two rounds of music on this one. Think of it this way. If you take Mahomes in round 1, who you taking in round 2? It could work out. I'm not saying that you can't make it work. Like, you could take J.K. Dobbins or something, which I think is high risk. But if you were to take him, or Gibson. So Mahomes and Gibson versus going, depending on in the first round where you're drafting, you could go, let's say it's JT, let's say it's Zeke Elliott, and then you get Mahomes. Like, Gibson and Mahomes compared to Elliott and Mahomes is not that big of a difference. So it's not crazy. I'm not saying you're absolutely out of your mind to do it. But if his ADP is in the 15 to 20, I guess my question, come back, Terry, with the answer. I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to come back to the court with your paperwork. Tell me where your league traditionally drafts quarterbacks. Is there always one going in round 1? Did Mahomes go in round 1 last year? Answer those 2 questions and come back. I don't feel comfortable answering your question yet because I don't know what your league's doing and I want more details, bro. How many games do you project Saquon to play? I'll say he misses 1 or 2 games for maybe a hamstring injury that happens when you tear your ACL, compensation usually. Or an ankle issue or something like that. So I'm going to say 1 to 2. Ridley or A.J. Brown, Matthew? This is a tough question to answer. I love both of them, bro. Ridley proved he can be the #1 wide receiver in fantasy football for a string of games. Don't take that lightly. This is a top 1 to 5 wide receiver. But A.J. Brown's got vacated targets. Jonnu Smith's gone. Corey Davis is gone. I'm sorry, bro. The court cannot determine. This is a hung jury. They are even Steven. Matty boy. Who plays more games this year, Cook, Julio, or Burrow? Cook. Dalvin Cook? Julio, or Burrow? I'm going to say Cook. No, I'm going to say Burrow, Cook, Julio. I guess. Patty was in the second last year. And what happened? He didn't exactly explode, right? He didn't finish as the #1 quarterback. In most cases, Josh Allen did. So take that, Terry, for what it's worth, and say to yourself, okay, well, crap. Josh Allen outscored him. And worst case, I take Josh Allen if Mahomes does get snagged in the first round, which I don't think he will. And if he does, good. That pushes another player down. But the fact that he went in the second round last year didn't blow up. You know, he did good. That the odds are he's going to fall again to the second round. And if you don't get him, you can get Josh Allen in round 3, or you can get your boy Herbert, which is my boy, so that makes him your boy in round 4. Ridley or DK? Ridley for me, says Logan. Logan, this is my court. What are you doing answering questions? You're in contempt? I think I'm going to say, to answer this question, though, Ridley. I agree with Logan, but he's in contempt. Is Josh Allen going to be top 3 in 2021? 4 quarterbacks, I assume you mean, Sebastian, and he was #1 in a lot of cases last year. So the answer is... It's okay, bro. Mahomes finishes QB4 last year. See, that's why I say in your league. That's why I say let him fall to the second, Terry. Let him fall to the second. Okay, next question. 1 QB, 12-team Dynasty League, 3 wide receivers and a flex. I trade Damian Harris and KJ Hamler for Henry Ruggs and 3.10 rookie draft. Thanks, Smitty. I trade Damian Harris and KJ Hamler for Henry Ruggs and the 3. I mean, I guess I take the upside of Ruggs potentially, but this is like, hey, let's kick each other in the nuts and we'll just each get a turn. Like, what good does this trade get you, Matt? Nowhere. At least Ruggs has some potential. Let's say A-Rod gets traded to the Raiders. I don't know. I'd take that, but yeah, past that, bro. Not loving any side of this trade. Like, this is wasting the court's time. But Ruggs has the most appeal. Where would you draft Kelsey PPR 10-team league? Sports, I would take him in the second round. I would not take him in the first. I don't build good teams that way, but that doesn't mean you don't. So if you draft Kelsey in the first and dominate, do you. Me, I'm looking like 15 overall. Just because I like a lot of those wide receivers. And I find Waller's and Hawkinson's. Those were my 2 breakouts last year. 2 of my top 12 bold predictions. So don't come in here and tell me that I can't predict the tight end position to break out. That would be contempt. Smitty, no one's yelling at you. I know. Tunyon. Robert Bobby Boy Tunyon might be the answer. Okay? Might be the answer to all of your sleeper tight end questions. I'm a huge Raider fan and want a Raider. Then that's your deal, bro, because it doesn't hurt you to do it. So go get him. Go get Ruggs and have a blast, bro. Put him right on your bench. Watch him waste away. Pizza or wings? Do we have any composers? Am I doing this right? Both. You get the special, the slice and 6 wings. What do I look like, a moron? Think I'd choose one? Trading Eckler. If you're trading Eckler, what player should I target in Dynasty? Good question. I'm probably going to say you're not going to get the player that I want straight up. So, like, you could go down and get, like, Clyde in an upgrade somewhere. So that would be the trading 1 Eckler for 2, which is a good move. Do we have any composers in here? Am I doing this right? If you're going to get a wide receiver, you might have to give up a touch to go get Jefferson. You might have to give up a touch to go get DK. You might be able to do it straight up for Ridley because he's older. Lamb, you could maybe do straight up, but I'm going after cross-position wide receivers. Or it's Clyde. Or it's trading Eckler and something for the 1.1. Or if you've already drafted for Harris. Those are the targets I'm targeting, bro. I love those. Ian, here's your question, and I know I missed that from the beginning, so I'm going to put you first. Ian says, just traded JT for Eckler, Ayuk, and 1.8. I know you're getting Ayuk. I know the 1.8, like if you land Devontae Smith, it becomes a lot more complicated to answer. And I even though I want to hammer this mallet down really hard and say contempt, because I don't like you trading JT, it depends what you get with that 1.8. If you don't get who you want at 1.8, disaster! I don't like that unless you land the right player, bro. JT's too good. Akers or Gibson, McLaurin, Allen, Robinson, or Lamb. Someone wants to be in contempt here. This one's close, and the Akers Gibson part. I don't blame anybody for liking Akers more than Gibson. I get it, but it feels like a trap to me. I'm not saying I won't buy in at some point, but I'm staying away at 12 overall, 14 overall. Give me Gibson in the second round over Akers in the second round, but that's me. McLaurin, Allen, Robinson, and Lamb. Lamb's the answer, bro. Lamb, then I would say McLaurin, then A-Rob. I don't know that I feel like Fields and A-Rob are just going to be like, like I worry about Fields getting his feet wet. I worry about rapport. And the Bears worry me in general. All the changes going on. Nagy's now play calling. It's Lamb. Easy call for me. First timer, Deontay, give it to me straight. Look, Deontay's got a lot of talent. He's a target hog. But he lives in a world where if Big Ben goes down, the targets vanish. Look at Antonio Brown for so many years being the #1 fantasy football wide receiver in fantasy, getting overfed by Big Ben. When Big Ben would go down for a significant amount of time, Antonio Brown would vanish from the top 10 wide receivers. He would vanish like that. And you expect in a place where the wide receiver 3 is being fed like a wide receiver 2 to maybe low end wide receiver 1, he's getting that many targets. He's a target hog in that offense. But that should worry you. It shouldn't excite you. He's the number 3. He's the number 3/2 wide receiver. Like I get he's probably climbing into the number 2 role. Like Juju, Claypool, they're all going to kind of share it. And I feel like Claypool's going to be the TD hog. Especially if Big Ben's getting worse, his accuracy's getting worse. He's going to throw it to the big boy that can pull down touchdown passes. But even if you put Deontay in the wide receiver 2 position, in my mind, in Pittsburgh, Big Ben's deteriorating. What happens when Big Ben fully falls off the map? What happens if Big Ben gets hurt? What are you going to do? Deontay has stone hands. He's working on that. There's a lot of upside, but not at the potential that people are suggesting he has. The risk is way, way bigger than the reward. I'm staying clear of Deontay unless he falls to great value, which he's not. Case closed. Simple as that. I got the first overall 8. I'm going to go back, Yoda. I'll drag these on here. Don't want to miss these questions. Yoda. Okay. Here we go. Got the first overall, 8th overall, and 10th overall, 10-team league, PPR, redraft. Should I take CMC, Taylor, Zeke, and then Kelsey, or CMC, Kelsey, Hill, then Hill and Kelsey? Like, sports, you could go a bunch of different directions here. You kind of got to go with the flow and see who's available. But in general, looking at your 2 plans of attack, loosely plans, these are like your loose plans of attack, right? Because we don't go in with cemented plans of attack, do we, sport? We don't, because we got to go with the flow. But of the 2 options you painted here, Christian McCaffrey, JT, and Kelsey would be a fine start. I don't know that I go Kelsey and Hill. I like the Mahomes and Hill stack, or Mahomes and Kelsey. I don't know that I like the Hill and Kelsey stack all that much, bro, because they could rotate. I don't like that at all. I wouldn't go near that. I would go with, if you're going to go wide receiver, either Devontae Adams, and if he's gone, you could look to draft Diggs. I think if you want to go wide receiver, CMC, JT, and Diggs is probably the most attractive, or Kelsey in place of Diggs, approaches from the ones you've given me. Diggs would be fire, bro. Can you imagine Diggs with those 2? Diggs is the answer. Hurts or Zach Wilson, Dynasty, who do you like better? I like Hurts a lot, but there are a lot of red flags and reasons to be concerned. Hurts doesn't have an easy path. I think he eventually will win. Talent will win out, and Hurts will play well. But there's still a lot of landmines in his situation. Team isn't buying into him yet, although they might just want to put light a fire under his arse. But I don't know. It's the Eagles, bro. So Zach Wilson, safer long term. He should start week 1. So you're not at risk of not having a quarterback. Hurts should start week 1, but I'd say Zach Wilson's more guaranteed to start week 1 right now than Hurts, because his own team won't even back him. So Zach Wilson, bro, plus he could be a top 5 quarterback in fantasy football for years to come. Easy call for me, to be honest. And I like Hurts. Do you think Justin Jefferson's going to be top 3 wide receiver this year? No, Sebastian. He's going to be number 1. Get out of here. Get out of here with this asking me if my favorite player is going to be number 3. The disrespect in here for Justin Jefferson. Aaron Jones, Keenan Allen for F1. You'll have to forgive me. I don't know what F1 means. And number 5 overall. Number 1, you mean? Aaron Jones and Keenan Allen for F1. Contempt. Just complete neglect. Complete waste of the court's time. F1. F1 yourself out of here. Are you in any redraft leagues this year, Smitty? No. Picks get a bit weird beyond the 5th and 6th round. They do. And, bro, I think I did 22 leagues last year. In lots of redraft leagues. I've drafted 1 so far, though, if that was your question. Losing my voice today. Who are you looking for at 12-13 turn? I like the wide receiver, but half the time it doesn't work out. So it's a very risky play. I think you're pretty safe to go with like a Diggs, and I mean, if you can't get a JT, obviously he's going anywhere between 4 and 8 overall. You never know. I'd probably say, let me pull up my rankings real quick and tell you who I would go with. It's a tough spot to take a running back, which is why I've been trying the wide receiver approach, but it doesn't always work out. It's really, really, really tough. I think you could go Aaron Jones if you wanted, but the value is in the wide receivers like Diggs and Ridley, Hill and Diggs. And if you can land a Mike Davis late, get a Clyde and a Monty, you might be okay. It's kind of worth taking. Or you could go Kelsey. You could go Kelsey and Diggs. You could try that approach. Gibson's not a bad pick. It's a little bit of a reach, but I do love Gibson a lot. It's a tough spot. The 12 spot's really hard to not reach for a running back. And, if Derrick Henry were there, which he won't be, he would be a guy, even though I worry about him, I think that's a point where I start to buy back in. There's a little bit of risk built into that. Ridley, Jefferson, or Lamb, who do you like more? Voice of reason's trying to get me riled up. He knows these are all three of my children in 2021. But I'm gonna go Jefferson. I'm gonna go Ridley because the value for trade and all of that is safer. But my third ranked wide receiver, Lamb, here, I like almost as much as the other two, if not quietly do. But you got to take them in their order. I don't want to. I could predict Lamb to be higher than Ridley, and if you want that prediction, I'll say that. But draft-wise, draft smartly, and own all three. F1 is Terry McLaurin. Okay. Now I forget the question. Where's the F1 question? There we go. If that's Terry McLaurin. Aaron Jones, Keenan Allen for Terry McLaurin in the number 5 overall. Dynasty, I have Christian McCaffrey and Hunt. Number 5 overall in rookie. If it's a rookie draft, number 5 overall, I would say... God, it depends on who you get. I'd probably take McLaurin in the rookie, but it could backfire if the right rookie isn't there. If it's Devontae Smith, I love it. If it's Kyle Pitts, I kind of like it, although it's definitely a move that's going to hurt you at running back. If you're going to go ETN or Javonte Williams, I almost rather like Aaron Jones. I almost like Aaron Jones more, and I'd try and get that. I'd try and keep Jones and get that pick using Keenan Allen and something. So it depends on what you're going to go after. Ridley, Jefferson, or Lamb? Oh, already did that one. Contempt! Andy Reid or 49er Media's mustache? I'm going to go with 49er Media's mustache. You can't beat it. You can't beat it. It's a good mustache. Bro, what's your Twitter? Smitty1com. Just like this right here. Obviously with no dot. Smitty1com is my Twitter account. Kelsey or Kittle? Kelsey, bro. I mean, even in Dynasty, maybe Kittle, but they're still both, because of the way Kittle plays, they're probably still gonna last the same amount of time. Damian Barry, what's up, my man?
What's good, my brother? How you doing?
I'm good. You are live on the Fantasy Football Show on YouTube. We got 45 to 60 people in the room pretty consistently. This is former running back. The last team you played for is the Ravens, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Damian Barry. Damian, tell us what you've been up to lately, just so people know what you've been doing.
Just farming, man. Got a farm out at Humboldt County that I just acquired not too long ago. Just been chilling, bro. Really, like, just living life after football.
Attaboy. So what's going on? What kind of news is floating out there that you want to talk about today? Anything specific?
Not really specific, but I'm looking at these new guys, like the Tim Tebow situation. Tim Tebow getting back into football after being out for 8 years. That's pretty interesting to me. Yeah,
that is. So what do you think? Do you think he ends up getting used often, or does he even make the team? Like, what do you project to happen there? Because that's a lot of time being out of football. Like, there's a picture of Trevor Lawrence. I don't know if it was real, but there's a picture of Trevor Lawrence the last time Tim Tebow played football, and he's this tiny little kid. Looked like he was playing Pop Warner.
Right.
So it's a tough thing to like take off time and come back and then play a new position.
Most definitely. It's definitely tough to come back and then try to play. Yeah, so I think, because, he played in the Urban Meyer system, he's going to get a shot. So I think he's more there to teach Trevor Lawrence, the Urban Meyer way.
So you were a running back. Maybe you can speak to the running backs in this class a little bit. So you got Najee Harris, you got Travis Etienne. We're talking about the Jaguars. Urban Meyer is potentially looking to use him more as a wide receiver. I don't know if you think that's just like coach speak right now. Do you think he's an Antonio Gibson? He's going to get the volume on the ground. He's going to get the volume through the air. Or do you think he's really toying with like changing his position?
I I'm waiting to see what happens because that's an interesting situation. Because from the knowledge, I don't. If you're a quarterback, your mentality doesn't change from being a quarterback. So
Yeah.
it's different level of physicality. I think that he's going to have to really adjust to it, getting hit every down and being manhandled from the line of scrimmage, especially at the tight end position.
Yeah, but for ETN though, I'm saying that the Urban
Oh,
Meyer,
ETN.
yeah, Urban Meyer was talking about how ETN's going to play wide receiver, and they're going to use him at wide receiver more. But like that to me, I just feel like that's coach speak right now, and they're going to eventually give him like Antonio Gibson type production where he's going to get, maybe he's Alvin Kamara like, maybe he doesn't get 1,000 yards on the ground, but he'll get 900 receiving yards. Be like a total dual 50-50 threat passing and or receiving and rushing. Do you think that like he actually changes positions? Because that's what people are talking about right now, and I'm not buying that.
I really think that you gotta think about Urban Meyer and his system. Like what he did with players like Rainey and Chris Rainey and what's the guy named Percy Harvin. He used them guys very effectively. He spread the ball a lot with them. So I think it's about seeing and trying them out at what's going to be best for him and the team, mostly the team.
Well, it was a mess when he landed there for fantasy football because you have, James Robinson, unrestricted free agent, finally, makes his mark, looks outstanding. Some people concerned they would take a running back, but no one really thought it would be ETN. And so it was definitely like a shock to James Robinson dynasty owners, because his value just completely dropped off. How do you rank these guys talent wise if you're to talk about the top three guys, and do you have anybody else like Michael Carter that you think could be just as good as these three guys? But so you have Najee Harris, you have Javonte Williams in Denver, and ETN in Jacksonville. Based on your experience in the NFL as a running back, which one stands out the most to you, and do you think all two of them or all three could have big success at the NFL, or are you worried about one of them?
I'm really worried about the Jaguars because the Jaguars don't really have a great line. They're not. It's all at the running back position. You got to depend on those five guys in front of you. So once you got to get somebody to first protect this rookie that's coming in. They're not really going. They're going to blitz the hell out of him because he's new. He's in the league. He's new, fresh to the league. So they're going to adapt into the league by blitzing the hell out of him, make him get rid of that ball quick, and make him make mistakes. So I think that right now I'm going to be worried about the Jacksonville Jaguars guys because it's really going to be tough to run the ball when they're blitzing everybody. They're going to send everybody out this field, man.
Yeah. Do you think are you worried about the offensive line for Najee Harris though? Because that Pittsburgh line's a little suspect, and then you got the deterioration of Ben Roethlisberger and what that could do, in terms of what kind of defensive schemes that Harris is going to face. Because if Big Ben can't throw the ball, like we saw Antonio Brown, number one wide receiver in fantasy football for like a string of years, multiple years ago. And when Big Ben would go down, and he would go down once in a while, Antonio Brown, he'd vanish. He wouldn't even be a top 10 wide receiver. And it sucked because it'd take him out of play. If Big Ben falls off even more than he did last year, and some think he's already done, like, what do you think happens to that whole offense?
It crumbles again. It really crumbles. They have been struggling at the offensive line position. But, this is the NFL. You get new guys every week. And I think that coach out there, man, he's going to do his thing to make sure that they have a great season, a successful season. It's like that they went 11-0 and didn't even go to the Super Bowl. So I think he's got something to prove this year.
Yeah. I'm pretty excited about Najee Harris. In redraft, I'm taking him like in the late second round pretty comfortably. But this running back class isn't like the exciting part. It's Kyle Pitts. It's the wide receivers. It's Devontae Smith, who some people think is going to be too small for the NFL. But the guy's 6'1". He does weigh about $170. But what's your take on Devontae? He's a good route runner, quick feed. He's actually very dominant in press coverage at the college level, like one of the better press coverage wide receivers, but everybody keeps thinking he's going to get manhandled. Do you have any ideas as to how he's going to respond, how he's going to develop at the NFL level with his size?
Right. I mean, look at little guys like the guy out there in like the cheetah out there in Kansas City. Like
Tyreek?
Size really doesn't matter. Yeah, Tyreek Hill. It really doesn't matter about the size of the dog. It's the fight in him right now. And I think he does have the fight. He's proved that every Saturday playing college football, you know. So hopefully it transfers over to the NFL. Like, it's a totally different game, but I think he got a dog in him. He's going to be all right.
Yeah, he looks. I mean, he's catching everything in practice. Like, just everything's smooth. Dude's so smooth. He can catch any football that touches his fingertips. He can run any route in the route tree. He can go get a jump ball as good as anybody in the draft class, minus maybe Jamar Chase, who we can talk about next. I love Devontae Smith. I think Devontae Smith and Jamar Chase both might find their way into fantasy football as top 6 wide receivers for the future. They both are that good to me. But what do you think about Jamar Chase and his landing spot? Lands in Cincinnati with his former college quarterback. How important is that when you're a college player and you get to land with your college quarterback, like your former quarterback? How much of a rapport do they already have in your mind, and like, is this going to be like playing catch in the backyard for them?
Right. I just feel like that is a big thing. That's a game changer. Having somebody to show you the way, you know, just coming in and being able to be like, yeah, I got a guy I can lean on, I can depend on. And then also I already know how he throws. I know how he runs his routes. So it's going to be a great situation for the both of us.
Yeah. How are your Ravens going to do this year? What do you think of Lamar? What do you think about Lamar's struggles early on, but then kind of getting back on track? What do you think about Bateman, the wide receiver they drafted? What do you think about J.K. Dobbins? Let's talk, because you're a running back, man. Everybody's excited in fantasy football about J.K. Dobbins, but the worry is Gus Edwards. Not necessarily Gus Edwards' talent. He was a good running back, but it's that the volume, the workload divide, the risk of getting enough carries and being used properly, that's the risk. It's not JK's talent. JK's a top 5 to 10 running back talent-wise, but what do you think is going to happen with that situation, and what kind of J.K. Dobbins production are we looking at?
I think he's going to get a lot of production, man. I think that it's going to be a pretty good season for us. I just feel like we just going to have to use Lamar a little bit more effectively. Find ways to get him out of the pocket, find ways to make sure he's, you know, the guy. Go ahead, baby. Make sure, you know, everything goes around Lamar. The game needs to be around Lamar.
Yeah. Hey, what do you think Lamar's going to struggle at all this year on and off, or do you think that he's going to getting some wide receivers is going to help solve a lot of the issues that he faced last year? Because there was a point in time, man, in fantasy football, and I know everything I speak from is like from fantasy football perspective, which is a little different than NFL talk. But for the most part, this guy like got to a point where people were wanting to bench him. You know, he completely he fell off the face of the earth in terms of being a top 5 quarterback. He did rebound though, but a lot of people are worried about like what caused the drop off. Is it easy for defenses to figure him out? Is that what happened? He didn't run as much, and when you take away the running, that makes him less dynamic. It makes him easier to figure out or easier to stop. But then they started running him a lot again in the second half of the season, which opened up things again. Like, what's your take on that? Like, do you have any insight?
I think, you know, they really never figured him out. I mean, I trust in Harbaugh. Harbaugh's a great coach. You know? So I think that's just, you know, it's just the NFL. You know, people get tired, wear and tear, you know. It starts to weigh on the mind, you know what I'm saying? Like, Cover 2 don't look like Cover 2 no more late in the season. Cover 3 don't look like Cover 3 late in the season. Just because you're trying to save the body. So I just feel like, you know, he'll be okay. You know, he's gonna clap back this year and hopefully lead us to the playoffs.
Yeah, it was very. It sucked not, you know, because Mark Andrews was a really good breakout tight end the year prior, and he kind of just vanished from fantasy relevance last year, almost the entire year. Hollywood Brown had some huge upside and wasn't utilized, so it was a tough fantasy season for Raven. players. It was up and down kind of. Let's see. One other question I was going to ask you. Do you know much about Michael Carter and Trey Sermon?
Just followed them a little bit, but not much about them. But they're both good players.
Yeah, and Sermon landing in San Fran is very interesting because he's a big back. How big are you? You're like two.
I'm 6 foot. I was 215.
215. So you're a big boy. Sermon is like, I don't know what his weight is like. I want to say 2. Let me pull it up here. He's a different running back than Shanahan has on that roster. So it kind of makes me think that the fact that they traded up for him and the fact that he fits a different like frame, he's different build wise than any of the other running backs. He is 215. He's 6 foot. Looks bigger than that. I think he might have got frozen, but we'll wait. And he looks different than that. He looks bigger than 215. He looks like he's 220, 225. Maybe I'll call back. That's former Ravens running back, Super Bowl MVP or MVP Super. I can't speak today. I'm on like 2.5 hours of sleep. I miss saying everything. We had a long night with the baby, and I'm on like no sleep. Super Bowl champ, former Super Bowl champ, former Ravens running back Damian Barry. I don't know what's wrong with me today. I'm misspeaking on everything. I'm saying conference instead of division. I'm saying division instead of conference. He went to the U. Ask him his thoughts on Mixon. I don't know if he's calling back or not. He's obviously in a casino. I think he's in Vegas. Gus Edwards, Deontay, or Judy. All right, we got another question waiting. But yeah, Damian Barry, he's a good dude. We'll get him back on screen if he calls back. But he's obviously in a casino right now, so he's having tough reception. Gus Edwards, Deontay, or Judy for the last keeper spot. Thank you for the compliment on the interview. He's a good dude. He's going to be coming on, I think, more often. And he knows a lot of people, so we're going to bring some people in, I think, with him at times. He brought Debo into a room on Clubhouse when we were in there talking. So he knows Debo. He knows a lot of players in the NFL. But cool, real cool dude. I wish I had. Let me see if I have a place I can send you to go check out his stuff. You can go to his Instagram at dberry20, dberry Berry 20, and check him out. Today's gonna be a little odd because I'm gonna be ending the show early. A little early today, and I'll be ending it. I may or may not be live for very long on Thursday. It might be an hour show. So just letting you know, this week's got a lot of things, a lot of events that I have scheduled and different things going on. So I apologize in advance for having some inconsistent times this week. But we're going to try to, let's see here. I know. I'm on like no sleep, man. I don't even know what I'm saying. Am I even here? Am I even awake? Where's my music? I don't even know what I'm saying. I feel like when I was on my live stream for 24 hours, my mind, I've literally slept like I don't know, maybe like 5 hours the last 2 days. I think it was like 2 hours last night, to be honest. I don't even know. Would you protect Gus Edwards, Deontay, or Jerry Jeudy for the last keeper spot? I'm sorry I didn't answer that question yet. Jeudy. I love Jeudy. I think Jerry Jeudy's going to be a top 10 wide receiver eventually. He needs a quarterback, but that's a fantastic dilemma to be in. And Jerry Jeudy's a fine keeper. Chubb, Smith, or Jefferson, Waddle. Chubb, Smith, Jefferson, Waddle. Sorry I didn't get to that, Ryan, when Damien jumped on. Devontae Smith, I assume you mean Jefferson, Waddle. Chubb, Smith, Jefferson, Waddle. God, that's tough, man. I'd probably go Chubb and Smith if I'm in a now thinking. No. I don't trust Chubb for the long term, man. I'd probably go Jefferson, Waddle. Can't you figure out a way to do Chubb for Jefferson and give up something else? Like, and keep Smith? Because if you had Jefferson and Smith in this equation, I'd be real happy. Real happy, bro. Chubb or Taylor in PPR redraft. Chubb or Taylor. Where's my button?
Take a lap. Take a lap.
Come on, the GOAT! I'm not a big fan of Chubb this year, bro. So, I love Taylor. I mean, I don't want to hit the button. I don't want to make you take a lap because anything can happen. And Chubb could certainly be a top 5 to 10 running back if he stayed on the field. But I worry about him this year. Taylor feels safer. It's not quite take a lap material because some people really like Chubb in 2021. But for me, it's Taylor all the way. I'm staying away from Chubb at that kind of ADP and that value. You think Galladay can still put up numbers while in New York? I think he can if he stays healthy. And he appears to be potentially healthier than he looked last year. I don't know if he's playing some games or what, but looks pretty healthy right now. And I think he could be a very, very good high-end wide receiver 2, because I don't think you got to draft him like a wide receiver 1. DJ Barry 20 on Twitter. Thank you for posting that. Go follow my boy, Damian Barry. I don't know if Grant's coming on. We've had a lot of schedule conflicts this week with some guests, so I apologize. Hopefully Grant will be here. All right, well, I'm probably going to end the show early today, and then Thursday will be an hour-long show. I apologize, guys. I've been doing 3 hours a day without fail pretty much the whole time so far, so this is good that we've only had a couple hiccups. I appreciate all of you being here today, and yeah, I'm going to get some sleep. Don't worry, I'll rest up and be more sharp on Thursday, even though we'll be live for like an hour or so. But I'll talk to you all soon. Mike Davis, Ridley, Mike Davis, or AJ Brown in Dynasty? Ridley and Mike Davis, because I like Ridley and AJ so close in Dynasty. I like AJ Brown a little more, but you're going to give me Mike Davis for this year and maybe next year. I like that. I like the duo. Should I be concerned about Marlon Mack? No, you should not. No, you should not. And that is all she wrote for today. I appreciate all of you being here. Thank you. Thank you again. Apologies for my lack of sleep and what I'm saying. Take a lap. This is for me. This is for me. Take a lap, Smitty.
Take a
big fat lap, Smitty. Later, everybody. Appreciate you.